we need to talk about Ironheart. So I did a video a few weeks ago called The Problem with Riri Williams, and the purpose of that video was to highlight the issues other readers, myself included, had with her in the comic books. As far as I can tell, none of these issues are present in the TV show. With that being said, the overall consensus so far, at least on social media, is that Ironheart is the worst thing ever to come out of the MCU, which I disagree with, obviously. So I have my own issues with this show, and I've seen everyone else's criticism, and what I can gather is that this show is being hated on for all the wrong reasons. Now, quick disclaimer, I don't have any issues with people hating a show. What I have an issue with is people hating it solely on the basis of bad faith arguments and just straight up lies. Now, there are so many videos and posts critiquing the series, so I managed to compile the main complaints from some of the bigger content creators, as well as a few posts on Twitter, and we're going to dissect each one. So before I begin, in that video I did about Riri Williams a few weeks ago, I brought up the issue of her suit from Wakanda Forever, and if we were supposed to forget that it existed, that was actually an error on my part, because Wakanda Forever actually does address why she doesn't have the suit.
You said you wanted to talk to me about something?
Yes. Your suit. It's a great design, but can't let you leave with it.
It's all good.
So Riri wasn't allowed to leave Wakanda with any of the tech she built, which kinda makes sense for the sake of the story in Ironheart. So let's hear what these complaints are.
Having suffered through the first 3 episodes now, I can confidently say that this is by far the worst thing Marvel have ever produced in nearly 20 years of MCU history. And damn man, that's up against some pretty stiff competition by this point. A cringe-inducing calamity of a show drenched in identity politics that have aged worse than Mickey Rourke's face.
So first off, this is a lie. There's no identity politics in this series, unless you count this as identity politics.
Hey, black people.
And if you do, please seek help.
Weighed down by hammy acting and nonsensical dialogue, a protagonist who's willing to lie, cheat and steal just to repeat something that's already been done decades ago, a moral compass that changes depending on who it's applied to, and characters so obnoxiously cliched and stereotypical that they feel like a parody of corporate social justice programs. In short, Ironheart is a creative, logical, and probably financial disaster, and the worst possible thing that could happen to Marvel in a year when it's already staring down the barrel of 3 high-profile flops. Let's get this over with quick, because I don't want to waste any more time on this trash than I absolutely have to. So the show picks up with nobody's favourite character, Riri Williams, a grad student at MIT who's been busted helping other students cheat on their exams for money. Riri's angry because she wants more resources to make Iron Man tech available to everyone and become even more famous than Tony Stark, who apparently only succeeded because he was a billionaire. What the fuck?
So this is what I mean by bad faith arguments. Riri stated that Tony Stark wouldn't be Tony Stark if he wasn't a billionaire, and the internet is somehow butthurt over this factual statement. They're either misconstruing it or just straight up lying. Tony Stark is a genius and he's very resourceful, but make no mistake, he wouldn't have been where he was if he weren't a billionaire. He had the intellect, but he still needed the money. That's all Riri is saying. And let's stop pretending like Tony got it out the mud. The first few minutes of Iron Man establishes that he inherited Stark Industries after his parents' death.
Until at age 21, the prodigal son returns and is anointed the new CEO of Stark Industries. With the keys to the kingdom, Tony ushers in a new era for his father's legacy.
And the counter-argument to Riri's statement that everyone's using is the dialogue from Obadiah Stane.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
موجود لانك تعمل لي جيريكو.
He says they have everything you need to build the Jericho missile. He wants you to make the list of materials.
They have everything you need to build the Jericho missile.
And we can even take this a step further. Even if you guys want to claim that Riri said Tony wouldn't be Iron Man if he wasn't a billionaire, she'd still be correct for two reasons. One, the 10 Rings kidnapped Tony because he was a billionaire who built weapons, and they wanted him to build them a Jericho missile. Those events led him to become Iron Man. If Tony isn't a billionaire, he doesn't build weapons. If he doesn't build weapons, he doesn't get kidnapped by the 10 Rings. And if he doesn't get kidnapped by the 10 Rings, he doesn't become Iron Man. Notice how the chain of events lead back to him being a billionaire. And second, these suits cost money. Tony built at least 50 suits throughout the MCU, and we know for a fact the suit he made for Peter is a multi-million-dollar suit, according to him. So we can only imagine how much all these suits cost. The bottom line is Tony needed money to build all these suits, along with his genius. So even if Riri was implying that he wouldn't be Iron Man unless he was a billionaire, she'd still be correct.
You've already been given a free scholarship at the most prestigious university in the entire country and 4 years of funding to construct your very own Iron Man suit, and that's still not enough for you? Do you realize how many people would literally kill to be in your position right now? Do you realize how fucking ridiculously arrogant and entitled this makes you look?
I don't get this criticism. Having ambition is being entitled. Yes, she has a free ride to MIT, but she has goals beyond that, and she acknowledges that she needs money to reach them. It's not like she's begging MIT for more money. This entire scene was just her explaining to the dean why she did what she did, with selling homework assignments to other students. What about that is being entitled?
Also, I hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but there's a very obvious reason why Iron Man suits aren't widely available in this world, and if you stop to think about it for just a second, I'm pretty sure you'll figure it out too.
Now, this complaint is interesting because this was kind of the premise of Iron Man 2, that no one else should have access to Iron Man suits. But Tony later does a U-turn and not only builds suits for Rhodey and Pepper, but he says he wants to put a suit of armor around the world.
I want to hear the man was not meant to meddle medley. I see a suit of armor around the world.
Yet I don't recall any complaints about it then, so why is this idea suddenly an issue now that Riri Williams wants to do it? And for the record, we're not talking about building suits that can go to war. Riri specifically states that she wants to build suits that can help first responders. This is stated in the first few minutes of the first episode.
My suits would shorten the response time of first responders, firefighters, search and rescue teams, etc.
We actually learn later in the series that her stepfather and best friend only died because they bled out and the paramedics got there too late.
After Gary and Natalie died, that night I just froze. I couldn't help them. I just had to watch them bleed out until the paramedics came 1 minute too late. I will never let that happen again.
So after losing two people close to her because first responders didn't get there in time, Riri wants to make sure that doesn't happen again. So in the grand scheme of things, she wants to build suits to help the community, not to fight terrorists or blow up tanks. Sounds good to me.
Anyway, when Riri rightfully gets expelled for causing massive property damage and subverting the school exam system, she does the logical thing and steals the Iron Man suit that she already built with university funding and takes it for herself.
Riri does not steal this suit because you can't steal what belongs to you. They literally mention in the scene that she built it with her own grant money.
Never! She built that with her own grant money.
Plus, if she had a full ride to MIT, there's no way that the grant covered her tuition and the suit. So we can only assume that she used some of her own money that she made selling homework assignments to build it. The only thing that belonged to MIT was the AI, which is why she lost access to it shortly after leaving. But let's go with you guys' logic for a second. So Riri used her grant money along with her own money to build this suit, and it somehow still belongs to MIT? That doesn't make any sense. If anything, MIT would have been stealing from her. And I'm seeing people sharing this image as proof that the suit does belong to MIT. But if that's true, why would she still need to spend money to build something that's not hers? The only thing we can conclude from this image is that the parts came from MIT, which kinda makes more sense.
Anyway, Riri's trying to scrape together enough money to repair her suit. Life is hard when you actually have to work and pay for stuff, isn't it? When she's approached by a guy named Parker, who offers the chance to join his ethnically and sexually diverse criminal gang, including this unique individual. What even is this show, man?
So in reference to that clip, this is his audience, so y'all can do with that information what you will.
In return for using her Iron Man suit to help them steal from people, she'll get all the money and resources she needs. And because stealing and breaking the law is only bad if other people do it, Riri immediately accepts his offer.
He's literally lying here. Riri doesn't immediately accept Parker's offer. In fact, she almost leaves when she truly realizes what type of people they are.
Where am I? You know what? I don't even care. No. I'm out.
But Parker knows she needs the money and he uses that to manipulate her into joining, which she finally agrees under the condition that no one gets hurt.
These jobs aren't exactly legal.
Not exactly.
Look, I don't want to hurt anyone.
Join me, and I will give you the tools to help you carry out your vision. ASAP.
And can we stop with this idea that she's a full-blown villain for doing this? Some of your favorite characters in the MCU have gone through arcs where they either did things that were deemed unethical or their actions affected innocent people. There are times where a character does something that is deemed illegal for what they believed were the right reasons. The third Captain America film was centered around that concept. This is also one of the main plot points in Daredevil Born Again when Kingpin makes being a vigilante illegal. So characters like Daredevil, the Punisher, and even Spider-Man wouldn't be safe from this criticism. A lot of heroes start out on the wrong side of the law in some capacity on their hero's journey. So calling Riri a villain for working with Parker's crew is a bit of an oversimplification.
You realize you could just take this kind of technology to any major tech firm in the country and they'd give you so much cash you could swim in it, right?
This argument is funny because I saw a tweet almost identical to it. So they're basically saying if Riri's so smart, why doesn't she use her intellect to get rich? Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this, I'm gonna assume you're smart. So I probably don't need to explain why someone like Riri Williams is very smart yet not rich. And what I find interesting is they never seem to use this argument with other characters who are also really smart yet not rich, like Peter Parker. Peter's really smart yet he's poor, but they can't seem to accept that with Riri for some reason.
Or how about Wakanda? They seem like they'd be more than happy to have someone of your talents on boards.
Again, I already explained toward the beginning of the video why she cannot go to Wakanda to build more suits. Do these people even pay attention to the MCU's continuity? Anyway, let's check out some other complaints.
And following that, wasting the opportunity of receiving 4 years of grant money post-graduation at MIT after being caught selling completed tests. All over wanting to build an iconic and undeniable Iron Man suit that's better than Tony Stark's.
My suits would shorten the response time of first responders, firefighters, search and rescue teams, etc.
All over wanting to build an iconic and undeniable Iron Man suit that's better than Tony Stark's.
So that was a fucking lie.
Greatest mind of a generation that's smarter than Hank Pym, Tony Stark, and Reed Richards combined does not decide to sell the patents for the tech or the tech itself to corporations for potential millions, hundreds of millions, or hell billions.
Remember what I said earlier about them not using this argument with other characters who are smart yet not wealthy? And it's funny he mentions Reed Richards because Reed Richards is arguably the smartest man on earth. He's created inventions so profitable he could bankroll an entire superhero team. So with the way people are already whining about the idea of Riri being as smart as Tony, be honest, don't you think they would still complain if she could use her intellect to become a billionaire? Kind of like how Reed and Tony can. It just goes to show that there's really no winning with them, but I digress.
We ended the 3-episode premiere, which happened just a week ago, with Riri Williams being responsible for the death of at least 2 men, and then when she was asked if she was good, she said, no, I'm not.
Riri does not kill anyone in this show, but just so we're on the same page, let's run through the chain of events. This scene where Parker kills the owner and the security guards, she didn't have the suit, so I'm not sure what he wanted her to do. Also, remember, she doesn't fully know what the hood can do at this point, so she had to remain hidden. Plus, she wasn't even supposed to be there. She was supposed to be outside looking out. So Parker's cousin finds Riri with a piece of Parker's hood and promptly tries to kill her. But in the midst of this altercation, the greenhouse is being flooded with carbon dioxide and they both begin to suffocate. Natalie then flies in and grabs Riri and leaves Parker's cousin to die. And the internet is somehow equating that to murder.
What?
So let me get this straight. Leaving a man who just tried to kill you to die is somehow murder?
You serious?
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get you out of here.
Okay, I'll get you out of here.
But wait, it gets better. They're claiming that Tony Stark wouldn't have approved of Riri's actions to leave this man who just tried to kill her to die. Look, I don't know who's dumber, these YouTubers or their audience, but let's get one thing straight. Tony Stark kills. Tony Stark has always killed since the beginning of the MCU. So the idea that he wouldn't approve of Riri leaving her would-be killer to die is hilarious.